Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. I got my Star Wars shirt on, and you know what? It's on for real today. Basically, today we're talking about Star Wars, specifically the 2024 slate, what Star Wars projects we can expect to see in 2024, what we can be excited for, and what's going on. I actually was planning on originally making this video sooner. However, I think yesterday Disney actually did announce their full slate for what's going to happen in 2024. So, hey, let's look at it. So, yeah, it's basically going to be another one of those ranking videos. I'm going to look at each project. I'm going to give my thoughts. I'm going to talk about what each project seems to be like, what I think it's going to be about, and what I expect from them. And yeah, I'll just kind of give my thoughts on my levels of excitement for each project. It's sort of going to be like a ranking video, but also not really. We'll look at the full slate. This is what's going to be waiting for us in store for Star Wars 2024. For starters, let's get the first big one out of the way. Andor is officially delayed. We are not gonna get Andor season 2 in 2024, and it seems most likely it's gonna be pushed to 2025 and will very likely be the first project of 25. And this has happened for quite a lot of reasons. For one, a lot of people are attributing this to having a lot of projects in 2023. Star Wars tried to squeeze a lot of projects in 2023. However, they weren't able to release as much as they wanted to, and a lot of that's like a lot of the extra content got pushed to 2024, and because of that, Andor was one of those pieces of content that got pushed to 25. Because Andor was originally going to come out in 24. However, because projects like Skeleton Crew and I think Bad Batch season 3 got pushed to 24, Andor got pushed to 25. That's like one of the main attributes I've heard. But another big attribute I know why Andor got delayed is because of the writers and actors strike. For those who don't know, we had a huge writer and actor strike earlier on this year. Actors and writers did not think that what they were getting paid was enough, and the studios said, screw you guys, we don't want to pay you, we're going to get AI to do your jobs. They went on strike and they had to come to an agreement. So because they went on strike, it meant that Andor's production was held up and they weren't able to continue, making the show. So because of that, season 2 got pushed to 2025. I do feel bad because it's not just Andor that's suffering. All of Hollywood is basically suffering. Every movie and show that was in production this year has essentially been pushed back another year because Hollywood decided to be jerks and not treat the people who actually give them good content right. It was a whole mess, but yeah, so it's very likely that Andor season 2 has been delayed to 2025, again, mostly due to the strikes. I can't say I'm too heartbroken about it though. As you all know, I'm not the biggest fan of Andor. I do admit I was a bit too mean to it in my original review. I have warmed up to it a bit, and I 100% believe that season 2 will be an improvement over season 1. However, it's really gotta take something special for me to love that show. And as such, I'm not viewing it as the biggest loss. Especially considering the rest of 2024 also doesn't look that amazing a year compared to the rest of Star Wars stuff. Like 2023 looked like it had a good slate backing it up, and then the products we got were less than what we expected or less than what we wanted. So 2024 just has a lot of weak entries on my list, and I don't think that that the entries alone being weak and then them being less than what you expected will make it a very successful year. Oh, who knows? I could be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I'm not too heartbroken about Andor. I thought season 1 was fine as it is. Season 2 will definitely be better, and maybe the slate for 2025 will be better. But for 2024, what we have left in these slates, it doesn't look too impressive, so I'm not really expected to be blown away. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the stuff that's actually been confirmed for 2024. First, we have Star Wars Outlaws. Now, I am fairly confident that this has been confirmed for 2024. A bunch of other Star Wars games, like I know Knights of the Old Republic and Eclipse, have either been cancelled or delayed indefinitely, but I'm pretty sure we're still gonna get Outlaws next year. Outlaws is gonna be a new game made by Ubisoft, so not EA, not Respawn like the Jedi games or Battlefront. And I do think that this is an interesting new direction for Star Wars games to go. We've had a game focusing on what it's like to be in the Empire. We've had a game focusing on what it's like to be a Jedi. So I guess it would make sense that we get a game on being a smuggler. I can't say I'm too excited about this though. Not only is the smuggling part of Star Wars, the less exciting part for me in my opinion, but I feel like if anything, we should have gotten a bounty hunter game first before a smuggler game. Like how cool would it be to traverse, the galaxy as Boba Fett or Aura Singh or something like that? I feel like just going around as some random smuggler probably isn't going to be the coolest thing ever. However, that's just me going off the concept of this game alone. The rest of the game does look fantastic. From what I've heard, it's an open world game, and apparently from how you get to the planet to space is very seamless. The game does seem to have good graphics, and it does want to have this high resolution pace going for it, and I really do dig it. I think that's cool. I don't know if we're gonna get any space battles in this game. As I said, I know there's space flying and whatnot, so maybe we'll get some space battles. From what I've heard, it's just gonna be a very seamless game with very lots of pretty graphics graphics and jumping from planet to planet. I'm not sure what the entire plot of the game is. Abel said, I do feel like it is kind of a bit boring to play as a smuggler. Maybe even if as we played as this droid we see in the trailer, that would be cooler. I mean, he looks cool, but as just some random Joe Schmo smuggler without like a jetpack or crazy gadgets, I am very interested in how they're gonna make this game entertaining. I'm not writing it out, but I am saying I'm more or less still looking to Jedi's Fallen Order 3 than this. I would say I'm still gonna play it. I'll probably still play it. I'll probably still give it a chance. But yeah, this does seem to be the game we're gonna get for 2024. Assuming they don't cancel it, because Star Wars is very well known for canceling their games. Now, to the actual canon stuff we're gonna watch that is actually 100% confirmed for 2023. Let's deal with the animations first, actually, since that's stuff I have kind of footage for, unlike the live action stuff. But yeah, for one, Bad Batch Season 3 is announced for 2023, and it's gonna be the final season of the Bad Batch. This is where all the story and plot lines come to a head, and it's gonna pave the road for, the next Star Wars projects down the line, like Rebels and the original trilogy, obviously. So yeah, how excited am I for the Bad Batch? I would say I'm mildly excited. I can't say I'm die-hard fan for it, like, oh my god, I'm, like, this is make it or break it for me, or this is the most hyped thing in the world. I will just say I am very, very optimistically looking forward to it. I do think that season 1 of the Bad Batch was very much struggling to find its identity, find its footing. Season 2 was a lot better in my opinion. I think everyone can agree Bad Batch season 2 had a lot of strong episodes in it, and so I do think that towards the end of that season especially, the show did find its footing and they knew what it wanted to be. So I am very, very confident that season 3 is going to be a very good season, probably the best of the 3, and it's going to have one killer finale. Who knows, probably the most emotional finale. Aside from Resistance, we have yet to get a Star Wars animated project that had a bad finale. Clone Wars was amazing, Rebels was amazing, hell, even Tales of the Jedi Season 1 had a great finale. So I do feel very, very confident in the Bad Batch Season 3. I do think they're gonna nail it. And hey, this is the first actual animated show that Dave Filoni isn't working on. So it'll be pretty cool to see how they end this story without his input. Very interested in how they're gonna go about that. Plus, since this is the final season, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much filler in it. There was a lot of filler in season 1 and 2. However, this being season 3 with only 16 episodes, I do think they're going to try to want to cover as much ground as possible. So, yeah, less chance for filler, higher stories, higher stakes. I'd say I am very mildly excited for season 3. The next animation we're gonna get for 2024 is Tales of the Jedi Season 2, and this one is being worked on very heavily by Dave Filoni himself, so I am very excited about this one. Actually, out of all the projects announced in 2024, I am the most hyped for this one. I love Tales of the Jedi Season 1. You guys saw my raving review about it. It was exactly what I needed at the time, and I do feel like this does capture the bare essence of Star Wars in itself, if anything. Season 1 was a great season about seeing how two well-respected Jedi to an extent kind of became disillusioned and became ex-Jedi. They went down very similar paths, however, they got to very different conclusions. Dooku became a Sith, Ahsoka became this kind of almost great Jedi, but not really. She became Falcon from the Rebellion, and we see how their upbringing kind of changed their views on the world. I really like that. I really do enjoy digging into these characters, and I am very excited for the Jedi we're going to get in Season 2. It's not confirmed whose stories we're going to be following, but I can guarantee you that whoever we do follow is going to be very good. I'm just hoping it's not Ahsoka again. I do think everyone kind of been Ahsoka'd out, so I do think that we want something different. And I agree, I do want another Jedi to follow. I do feel like having a new Jedi to follow and experience would be pretty cool. I've heard a lot of people saying that we could probably be following Mace Windu, probably be following maybe Yoda. Yoda could have some cool stories to tell. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we could even get Kit Fisto, something like an underrated Jedi from the prequel era. That would be interesting. Maybe we could even get something on Luke Skywalker. They do say it's Tales of the Jedi, not Tales of the prequel era or the Old Republic era. So maybe we could even get some stories on the newer Jedi in the post-Empire age, like maybe Luke Skywalker, or even the guy from the Skeleton Crew, who we'll talk about in a second, or even just some old Jedi, like some pre-Star Wars Jedi, old Legends Jedi. That would be pretty cool. And who knows, if Season 2 is successful and Disney understands that they do have something good on their hands, we could even get a Tales of the Jedi Season 3 or a Tales of the Sith. And a Tales of the Sith would be really cool. As I even said in my original Tales of the Jedi video, I would really love to see them adapt the Darth Maul comic, where Son of Dathomir, from how he escapes Palpatine's grip and goes back to ruling Mandalore, thus bridging the gap between Clone Wars Season 6 and 7. Maybe we could even get another couple of short episodes showing how Asajj Ventress died, because it feels weird. Asajj Ventress was like one of the main antagonists of the Clone Wars TV show, yet she dies in a book. I feel like that's such a dirty way to do her character. So maybe adapting that story to life would actually be pretty cool, and it will also give us some insight as to what happened to Quinlan Voss after Order 66. There's a lot of paths you could do with this, and this is probably the closest we're ever gonna get to a Star Wars What If, just looking into the tales of people's lives that you're able to develop that you weren't able to do in the canon stuff. So yeah, as I said, I am very excited for Tales of the Jedi Season 2. I am very excited to and interested as to know what Jedi we're gonna be following and how we dig into their character. All right, now we're going to be talking about the live action shows, meaning I have no footage to overlay for you. So I'll probably just use the poster for the show that we have, and I'll probably just cut to, cam of real Captain Phoenix face. Oh, the horror. But yeah, the first of the live action shows we're going to be getting is going to be The Acolyte. The only thing we know about this show is that it's going to focus on how the Sith remained in hiding, or at the very least, how the Sith thrived in hiding during the 1,000-year break after the Great Jedi and Sith War, how the Sith were able to survive in the shadows. This story, from what I've heard, takes place about 100 to maybe 200 years before episode 1. So we're probably not going to see any established characters aside from maybe Yoda if they want to do that, but I highly doubt it. I really don't think we're going to get any established characters in this series. So yeah, this series focuses on, again, what the Sith have been doing in the shadows. We don't really know much else about that. While I do love the concept for The Acolyte, I am very worried it might not be that great. This is mostly due to the writing team behind it. The writing team behind this series has said a lot of, for lack of a better word, wild takes on how they view Star Wars. The main head writer for this show, and I assume she's also the creator, like she's the one who pitched this show. She's like, oh, George Lucas didn't understand Star Wars or whatever, so we're gonna do it right. And it's like, you're saying the creator himself doesn't understand Star Wars. Yeah, there's just been a lot of stuff said about the writing and acting teams for this show that's got me very worried. So while I do love the concept, we could have another Ahsoka Book of Boba Fett situation on our hands where the general story is cool overall, but like the execution is gonna leave a lot wanting. So I'm holding my breath. I'm not gonna say I'm in love with this series, nor am I a diehard for it. I'm just gonna wait until things play out before I make my final judgment. The writing team doesn't give me a lot of confidence. I'm not gonna lie. And you guys know me. Intention is very much an important factor when it comes to making like a movie or show. Like, what is the person thinking or feeling about this product they're making? Are they making it out of passion, out of love? Is it just a job to them, or do they outright hate the thing? And from what I'm getting, these guys don't seem to like Star Wars. So that's what I'm very worried about. And Dave Filoni isn't working on this at all, meaning there's probably not going to be some of that classic old school Star Wars charm, which is both a good and a bad thing. If you know Dave Filoni, I probably should have talked about this if I ever made a soccer review, which I haven't. My bad. So like, if you know Dave Filoni, you know what I'm saying. Is that it's both a good thing and a bad thing. He's not working on this show. So I'm just gonna hold my breath. I'm gonna hold my breath to see what the Acolyte has in store. And I just pray it's gonna be good. The next series worth talking about is Star Wars Skeleton Crew. From what I've heard, this series is going to focus on a bunch of kids or like youngsters traveling the galaxy, and they need to get from point A to point B. And from what I've heard, they're being led by like a Jedi guardian or something. Like, they're being protected by this Jedi guy who's going to be played by Jude Law. However, that's a rumor. I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed. Yeah, but I have heard that Jude Law is apparently going to be playing a Jedi, and he's going to be protecting these kids getting there from one point of the galaxy to another. At first, I thought this was going to be like a sort of post Order 66 show, like maybe a bunch of younglings survived the slaughter of the fall of the Jedi Order, and they need to be protected from getting from one end of the galaxy to the other, and then they just kind of fan out from there, like live normal lives or like hide under the shadow of the Empire. It reminds me a lot of this Legends book called The Rise of Darth Vader, where like 7 Jedi survived Order 66 and they had to go into hiding afterward because they realized the Jedi Order had fallen. It gives me those vibes. However, this is an interesting part. This show doesn't take place in the prequel era, or the very least after Order 66. It takes place in the Mandoverse era, after Return of the Jedi and during that time period, which makes it very interesting to me because from what you've heard, if you guys know, the Mandoverse era, which comprises of The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and the Ahsoka show, is building up to the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie, which is going to be sort of like this big climactic movie that takes place in between episode 6 and 7, where all these Star Wars characters, or like all the leads of these shows, fight Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is one of the main villains in Ahsoka, if you've watched that show. So to me, it seems weird that we're getting a new Mandoverse entry now of all times, especially considering I think they said the Dave Filoni movie will come out in like 2026, 2027, around there. And this show is slated to come out in 2024. So we're literally in the middle of the Mandoverse. So it just seems weird to me that instead of like developing the other shows like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, like you'd expect us to get a season 2 of Ahsoka before Skeleton Crew, right? But yeah, it seems weird to me that instead of developing those other shows, giving them a stronger foundation to stand on, so that we can get more hype and build up for the Mandoverse movie, we're getting a new Skeleton Crew show. We're getting a new show, set during this time period. It makes me wonder how they're gonna connect to the Mandoverse, or at the very least to the larger overall story building up to the movie. Like, is there an established character in this show? Is Jude Law's Jedi, Jude Law, again, he's rumored. I'm just going off rumors, but like, is Jude Law's Jedi character an established character? Do we know him? Have we seen him from another show? Is he gonna be a Jedi that teams up with Luke and he wants to help Luke build his Jedi Order, but then he's one of the Jedi where things go crumbling down? Is Jason gonna be involved? We know Ezra's not gonna be here because he's an Ahsoka character. There's just a lot of like weird wiggle room around this show. I don't know why, but saying it in the Mandoverse era, especially now, just seems so off to me. I feel like, if anything, they should be focusing on the Mandoverse shows that they already have. Give Boba Fett a season 2, give Ahsoka a season 2, make The Mandalorian season 4. We know you've already written it, and we know it's been, delayed because of the strikes. It just seems very odd to me that they're focusing on a new Mandoverse show with a new cast of characters this late in the game. It does make me think that the Dave Filoni movie that we'll get eventually is going to be very bloated because we're going to be following so many characters and like so many plot developments going forward. It just seems very up in the air right now. So while I do think the concept of the show is very cool, it's a very simple concept. I think it's going to be a fun ride. I don't think it's going to be as deep as like The Acolyte, for example. It's going to be as wild breaking as The Acolyte. I do think it's going to be a very fun show, a very fun ride. It does sound a lot like a Disney original show slash movie, like just something you put on after you come home from school or whatever for the holidays, or for vacation if you're American. But I am also very worried because it doesn't seem to be standalone. It's set in the Mandoverse era, so I'm very worried about what that's gonna say about the larger overall story and how that will lead into a Dave Filoni movie. Very interested how they're gonna do that. But there is gonna have to be some established character, or at the very least, it's gonna have to be something that ties it into the rest of the Mandoverse stuff, so it's not completely on its own. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming. Now, in terms of release dates, we don't really have release dates for any of these shows or games as so far. We just know that these are the shows that have been confirmed for 2024. So I would like to make a prediction as of when these shows and games are gonna come out. That's just so we can get the ball rolling and get ahead of the curve. And if I'm right, hey, I'm right. If I'm wrong, well, there's always next time. So let's start with Outlaws, the game, because it's just one game. From what I've heard, in order to be Game of the Year, you need to have your game released in spring so that people have enough time to check it out and enjoy it. So that's gonna be my best guess. I'm assuming the game will probably come out May to June around there. I could be wrong, and the game could get delayed. That is very much a possibility. Do not take my word for it that the game will come out next year. But if it is coming out next year, my best guess is that it's gonna come out around May to June. That's really, like, I'm just basing that on nothing except May Star Wars month. So there you go. In terms of the rest of the shows that we're gonna get, we have 4 shows confirmed for 2024, and we know the Bad Batch has 16 episodes. Skeleton Crew is gonna have 6, if I'm not wrong. The Acolyte will probably have 8, and what's this? Tales of the Jedi will have 6. However, Tales of the Jedi is different compared to these other shows because the first season of Tales of the Jedi aired all the episodes at once. So it's very likely that Tales of the Jedi season 2 will air all its episodes at once. So in terms of how I think these shows will come out in the course of 2024, it's December of 2023 as a recording, and we haven't gotten a single trailer for any of these new projects, which makes me think that that the first project is not gonna come out for at the very least 2 more months. Meaning, my prediction is we're probably gonna get the first project in March of 2024, and this project will probably be the Bad Batch. That's my prediction. We're probably gonna get the Bad Batch season 3 in March of 2024. And since it has 16 episodes, it's gonna air for about 4 months. So March, April, May, June. I think that's how it's gonna be. However, during that airing, we're probably gonna get another show crossing over with it. This show, in my prediction, is gonna be Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew seems like it's gonna have a summer release. I have no idea why. It just has a summer vibe to me. So it seems very likely that Skeleton Crew will release during the summer. So my prediction is that it's gonna come out either end of May or mid June around there. As the Bad Batch is ending, the Skeleton Crew is gonna come out, and those shows will air side by side with each other. We did the same thing with Bad Batch season 2 and Mando season 3 last year. No, this year. I forgot Bad Batch came out earlier this year. But yeah, we did the same thing with Bad Batch and Mando season 3 this year. It's very likely Bad Batch will air with another show again next year. And then we have the Acolyte. My prediction is that the Acolyte is gonna get a sort of winter holiday release. Again, I have no proof for this except the Acolyte seems to be one of Star Wars' bigger, more daring projects, and so of course they will want as many people home as possible. So if they're not gonna release it in summer, it's very likely they're gonna release it in winter. So my best guess when the Acolyte is gonna come out is probably gonna get an October, November release around there. That's my best prediction for it. And as for Tales of the Jedi Season 2, I see no reason why it wouldn't get a similar release schedule to how the first season did. So I'm also assuming October, November. Tales of the Jedi will probably come out as the Acolyte is starting. That's my best guess. Season one came out as Andor was airing, like in the middle of Andor's airing. So it's very likely that season two will probably come out just as the Acolyte is airing, like maybe after the first two episodes of the Acolyte release, just so we can get everyone will get like a Star Wars high at that time. But yeah, that's how I think they're going to distribute the projects in 2024. And since we talked about Andor season 2 earlier, my best guess for Andor season 2 is that it's probably going to come out in February or March of 2025. That's my best guess. And 2025 is also slated to have Mando season 4 come out. So it's also possible that Mando will probably come out either in the summer or winter of 2025. As for the rest of the projects, I don't know. We haven't really gotten confirmation for Ahsoka season 2. We don't really know if we're gonna get Tales of the Jedi season 3 or what the next big project is. We just know that Mando season 2 and Mando season 4 and Andor season 2 are in the works. So I guess we'll just wait for those when they come around. But yeah, that's our slate for 2024, guys. It doesn't seem really exciting to me. I don't want to say it's mid or anything because I am excited for things like Tales of the Jedi, but I am feeling somewhat lukewarm on all these projects. I'm not really hyped for them, and it just kind of feels like wait and see. Let's wait and see if they are actually good. Like I'm not as excited for next year as I was for like this year 2023. Like in my last video where I was looking at the Star Wars projects we're gonna get in 2023, I was very excited for them. A lot of them had very interesting titles, and a lot of them didn't quite hit the mark that they wanted to hit. And so now that we're again not, and I feel like 2023 was like the make it or break it year for Star Wars. Like these projects have to be good, and if they're not, Star Wars is more or less doomed. And while the projects weren't bad, they certainly weren't revolutionary. So it was just like we're gonna get more of the same going forward. So 2024 has got me feeling that as well. Where I'm not really excited for any of these projects. I don't think any of them will be bad or abysmal, but it is going to be more or less the same, unless we get something truly exceptional like Tales of the Jedi again. But even then, a lot of people don't really count Tales of the Jedi because it's just that short. Maybe one of them will surprise us. Who knows? Maybe one of them will genuinely be surprising. I want to go into 2024 with an open mind, and I don't want to judge these shows so quickly like how I did for Andor. I do feel again kind of bad for how I treated Andor, but I do feel like a lot of my points still stand against that show. But yeah, tell me guys, what are you excited to see in for Star Wars 2024? What do you think is going to be the big project of the year, and what are you most hyped for next year and beyond? And yeah, and what do you think? And I guess to make things interesting, what do you think is not going to be so great, both on the concept and the execution? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so very much for watching this video. I am Cat Phoenix, and with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.